Welcome to the Bluenose, and in today's video what I've done is I have put Celtic and Rangers in the English Premier League. So there's always been a big question asked about Celtic and Rangers, that would they be able to compete in the Premier League? We're going to find out in today's video. We're going to simulate a few years into the future, see if they can even survive in the Premier League. I think they will. But it's not only Celtic and Rangers that I've added to the English Football League. I've also added the other teams in Scottish football. Aberdeen and Hibernian are now in the Championship. And League One is just the rest of the Premiership teams, likes of Dundee United, Hamilton, Motherwell, Livingston, St Mirren, St Johnstone, Ross County and that. And in League Two we've got a few of the Championship teams. I think it's based off the current top four, so we have Dunfermline, Hearts, Queen of the South and Raith Rovers. Down in the National League you have some of the rest of the Championship teams like Arbroath, Inverness and all that, Ayr United, a few other teams. And here in the National League North is just every other Scottish team, and the SPFL including Celtic Hearts and Brora Rangers. And the National League South is just all the National League teams. So before we simulate one season into the future, I'm going to make a few predictions. I'm going to predict that Rangers will finish 13th and Celtic will finish 16th. Maybe that's me being a little bit biased, but with Rangers winning 55 and all that, they'll probably have the better team in Football Manager, as this is the latest database update. That's my predictions. They'll both be in Europe as well, I'm pretty sure. So now I'm going to simulate to the end of the season and just see how it turns out. Okay, so I'm back, and my prediction about Celtic and Rangers both finishing mid-table went horribly wrong. Maybe they were right. Maybe the Scottish League is just a pub league. As you can see, Rangers having an awful season, only picking up 25 points, winning 6 games all season. They did beat Man United though. As for Celtic, they were able to beat Rangers in the Old Firm. Another game was a 1-1 draw at Ibrox. Let's have a look at some of the detailed stats. We'll start off with Rangers. Their top scorer was Alfredo Morelos, in 10 goals in 30 games in the league. In Europe, we'll have a quick look at that. They were still in the Betfred Cup. They got eliminated by Wolfsburg in the Euro Cup League Path 4th qualifying round. In the FA Cup they got to the 3rd round against Southampton where they lost. And they lost in the Betfred Cup quarter final to Celtic. They actually did sack Gerard. Ivic is now their manager. He was the Watford manager. Where's Gerard now? He's unemployed. As for Celtic, their manager is nobody right now. Neil Lennon was sacked. Let's have a look how they done the Champions Cup. They didn't do too well, but they did get into the Euro Cup first knockout round where they lost to Salzburg. Again lost to Southampton in the FA Cup. They did win the Betfred Cup, at least they've got that going for them. Edward was their top scorer. How many of those were in the league? 12 of them. His goals were not enough to keep them up. Let's look at the Championship now. And that was won by Sheffield United. Obviously I put them down in the Championship along with West Brom. And Watford won promotion to the playoffs. And Aberdeen and Hibernian were relegated to League One. But League One, Scottish team's done a little bit better here. Motherwell getting 7th. Mark getting 9th. Livingston, Dundee United finishing mid-table. But we had St Johnstone, St Mirren and Ross County avoiding relegation to League 2. But Hamilton, by far the worst team in League 1, only picking up 7 wins all season. As for League 2 now, Hearts were promoted out of that, along with Wigan and Burton and AFC Wimbledon. And the other teams too. Queen of the South, done quite well for themselves. They've done fairly and they survived, but Raith Rovers were relegated along with Morecambe to the National League. But the playoffs are still to happen here, so we'll have a quick look. Morton, Arbroath and Torquay were relegated into the National League North and South. As for this, Falkirk won promotion. Albion Rovers and Elgin City are relegated to Tier 7. As for this division, there's no Scottish teams in it, but we'll check it out anyway. Chesterfield and FC Halifax. Okay, so now the playoffs have happened and the winners were Mansfield. Ayr United did get to the playoffs, but they were unable to get promoted. As for this league, the National League North, it was Partick Thistle that was promoted along with Falkirk, and we'll just have a quick look at this as well. Stockport and Notts County are promoted. So now we're going to simulate another season into the future to see how Celtic and Rangers get on in the Championship. Can they bounce straight back up now that they've got Premier League money? We'll find out in the next season. Okay, so now we are back. We are in the second season of this experiment. Obviously, there was no Scottish teams in the Premier League, but it was won by Liverpool. Relegated were Brighton, Watford and West Brom. But now in the Championship, we're going to find out, did Celtic and Rangers get promotion? Celtic won on penalties against Rangers in the playoff final. What a game that would be for the neutral. So it was Celtic that did win promotion. Albion Ajeti was the top scorer. Look at some of their games now. They lost in the Carabao second round against Burnley 3-0. In FA Cup, they got to the fourth round where they took Watford to a replay, losing 2-1. Obviously in the playoffs they played Bournemouth, drew the first leg 1-1, then won the next leg 2-0 and bet rivals Rangers on penalties. Let's have a look at some of the transfers as well. Signing likes of Tyrese Campbell, Josh Onama from Fulham, Alfie Mawson as well, Lanzini, James Collins. They also did lose quite a few players, like Cham went to Everton, Ayer went to Atletico Madrid, James Forrest went to Aston Villa. Let's look at Rangers now. Philip Cocu is the manager of Rangers. Ivic was sacked. They lost in the Carabao Cup second round to Newcastle. And they got pumped 4-0 off Tottenham in the FA Cup third round. A really good month of April, which definitely put them into the playoffs. They were able to beat Nottingham Forest at home and managed to get a draw in the second leg, but losing on penalties to Celtic. What a dramatic game that must have been. Like some of the transfers they made, they did spend quite a bit of money on Lloyd Kelly from Bournemouth. This guy Dadashov, El Ghazi from Villa, Brownhill from Burnley. Not made as many good signings as Celtic, I'd say, but they did lose quite a few players as well. Morelos, Aribo, Edmondson, Katic and all that. Alan McGregor went to Everton, Arfield, Philadelphia. The old firm teams anyway. Let's go down to League One. Aberdeen are promoted straight back up along with Coventry. Motherwell making the playoffs. Hibernian were able to get 7th. Relegated, Livingston, Portsmouth, Ipswich and Ross County. Hearts, who were newly promoted, managed to finish 14th. Kilmarnock avoiding relegation. Let's go down to League 2 now. And it was won by Hamilton, going straight back up along with Gillingham, Swindon and Crewe. And Cheltenham and Queen and South are relegated. All the teams out here was Dunfermline. As for the National League, Dundee were promoted through the playoffs along with Walsall, who went up automatically, and relegated to the 6th tier, were Barrow, Raith, Morecambe and Alloa. So 2 Scottish teams going down to the 7th tier. I believe that's Raith Rovers' 2nd consecutive relegation. Let's look at Vanarama North now. It was Morton that were promoted, along with Airdrie. Relegated to the 7th tier were Brecon, Brora, East Fife and Spennymoor. Here in the Vanarama South, did any teams get transferred at all? No, the playoffs are still going on, but we don't really care about this league anyway. So anyway, that is the end of Season 2. We're going to simulate another season as Celtic have been promoted to the Premier League. I might do another one after that, depends on what happens. Like, well, if Celtic stay up or if Rangers get promoted as well. We'll find out what will happen in just a second. Okay, so I'm back, and in the third season, to everyone's surprise, Celtic have been relegated 20th place, finishing rock bottom with only 21 points and conceding 81 goals all season. Come on Celtic, you're not doing Scottish football any good by finishing 20th with 21 points. Let's have a look. Henrik Larsson is now their manager. This guy was sacked. They got off to a good start against Fulham. It just fell off from there, getting knocked out of FA Cup to Man City, Carabao Cup to Leeds. I think it's fair to say they did not put up a good fight at all in the Premier League, but did they spend money? They spent money as well. 16 million quid on this guy right here. A striker. They had to lose a few decent players, like Ajeti went to RB Leipzig. He was their top scorer in the Championship. Greg Taylor left as well, and Barkas, fortunately for them. Sorrow as well. Quite a few players have left. But were Rangers able to get promotion at the Championship? We can see that they didn't win the playoffs. That's because they lost to Watford in the first round. Let's have a look. Then go off to the best starts here. Took me a while to find their feet in the Championship. Doing actually quite well in the Carabao Cup. Getting all the way to the quarter-final where they lost to Liverpool. Also getting to the FA Cup quarter-final where they lost to Man City. As you can see here in the playoffs, they lost 3-1 at Watford at Ibrox. And drew 2 each with Watford at Vicarage Road. Because some of their transfers, they did sign Bradley Dack. Kenny McLean as well. A few loan players. As for outgoings, a lot of players leaving. Lloyd Kelly, Yanis Hadji, Barisic, Tavernier, Eaton as well. So they did sell a lot of their big players. So it's always going to be difficult to replace them all. We also had Aberdeen get promotion to the Championship as well. Finishing mid-table 13th, a solid season for them. In League 1, St Johnstone won promotion to the Championship, beating Hibs in the final. Scottish teams are starting to do a bit better now in the lower leagues. Kilmarnock getting in the playoffs as well. Hamilton finishing in 7th after winning promotion last season. So Motherwell Hearts finishing mid-table against St Mirren. Dundee United. Not a single Scottish team relegated. Going into League 2 now. It was Dundee that did win promotion. That's their second consecutive promotion. They were in the National League last season, so they will be playing in League 1. Along with Hull, Livingston and Ross County. Dunfermline finishing mid-table. Relegated to the National League is Mansfield and Forest Green Rovers. Here in the National League, Partick Thistle won promotion again. I think that's, well, they did get promoted out of Vanarama North in the first season before finishing 4th, but now they've finally gotten promoted. Relegated is Grimsby, Stevenage, Queen of the South and Bromley. There are a few other Scottish teams in here like Falkirk just missing out in the playoffs. Morton, Airdrie as well, finishing in the mid-table. Inverness. For the Vanarama North, Morecambe and Fylde are promoted out of that, no Scottish teams. But Kelly Hearts, Darlington, Stranraer and Annan Athletic were relegated to the 7th tier. As for the Vanarama South, don't think there was any Scottish teams in here. So anyway, we're going to simulate one more season into the future most likely. I believe I'm on season 3, so we're just going to simulate to season 4 now and then probably do a part 2. Then we're going to see if Celtic can bounce straight back up to the Premier League. Will Rangers join them and how will the other teams in Scottish football get on? As St Johnstone were promoted as well. We are back and this is season number 4 and obviously there is no Scottish teams in the Premiership that we can look at, so we're going to have to go straight down to the Championship. As you can already see that Celtic have won the league, but what about Rangers? Rangers have fell off quite a bit from previous seasons because before they'd be around about the playoffs. Even got to the playoff final once where they lost to Celtic, but Celtic been promoted as champions along with Crystal Palace and Sheffield Wednesday. And relegated is Aberdeen, Millwall and Huddersfield, but St Johnstone actually doing really well, finishing 17th. St Johnstone doing really well for the first season in the Championship, but Aberdeen not so much, only getting relegated by a point though. Let's look at Celtic quickly. Larson's still the manager, he was the one to get them straight back up to the Premier League. Got to the Carabao Cup 4th round. And FA Cup 3rd round, getting knocked out both times by Man United. Yeah, they absolutely stormed the Championship, 90 points I think they got. They didn't actually spend that much money, only 13 million was spent on these 3 players and the rest were loans. And as for outgoings, they didn't really lose anyone massive either. I mean, Connor Roberts, didn't see that there, and their Beatons left. Yeah, Celtic they're doing well for themselves right now in the Championship. They'll be playing Premier League football next season, but we won't find out how they do unless I do a part 2. As for Rangers, Philip Cocu's still their manager. They'd get to the Carabao Cup round, the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup and the 4th round of the FA Cup, getting knocked out twice. It wasn't a great season for them. Like, how many points did they get? They managed to pick up 72 points all season. As for the money that they spent 43 million, big money for the Championship. Stansfield from Fulham, Ben Whiteman as well from Preston, a few other signings as well. We've got Matt Doherty on loan from Tottenham. That's an interesting one. As for outgoings, they lost quite a few big players like Patterson, Bassey. They still have Kent and Ryan Jack in that. They don't have a bad team. But if we go down to League 1 now, it is actually Hull v Hamilton which play in a promotion playoff final. So the results of that one will be interesting. As you can see, it will be Hamilton Academical that will be joined in the Championship by Kilmarnock and QPR. So some of the Scottish teams round about here are starting to do well. Dundee United just missing out in the playoffs. Hearts mid-table, same with Hibs. St Mirren, Livingston, Motherwell. That's where those teams have been round about here forever. But relegated to League 2 is Dundee, Lincoln, Ross County and AFC Wimbledon. As for League 2, no Scottish team was promoted. There's still Dunfermline sitting around about here. Don't see any other Scottish teams. Partick Thistle. As for the National League, Salford won the playoffs and Colchester promoted. You did have likes of Inverness and Morton in the playoffs here. No Scottish teams were relegated. Ayr just about surviving. As for Vanarama North, Queen's Park lost in the playoff final to Hartlepool. Relegated Peterhead, one of 4 teams to get relegated. Cowdenbeath just missing out. As for Vanarama South, is there any Scottish teams in here? And these are just English teams. Stevenage won that league. So in today's Football Manager video, we learned that Celtic and Rangers aren't really good enough for the Premier League. Well, this isn't Football Manager anyway. I reckon that in real life they'd do a lot better than getting relegated in their first season. But you know, the other Scottish clubs aren't actually doing that badly for themselves. Like we have St Johnstone, Hamilton in that, in the Championship. And quite a few Scottish teams in League 1 as well. I'm going to do another video with this experiment. Simulate a few more years into the future. To see if Celtic and Rangers can establish themselves as Premier League teams. Well, maybe an outsider team like a St Johnstone or something manage to get promotion. Guess we'll find that out in the next video. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And goodbye.